Hello, and welcome to your NARSA Weekly Update for the week commencing Monday, the 13th of July 2026. Brought to you by our partners at SEKO, your no-nonsense end-to-end logistics partner. I think that's the first time I managed to say that correctly without a wee bit of a stutter step, which is progress in and of itself. But it's Gary here again. Thank you very much, as always, for taking the time to tune in. And so every time I'm recording this podcast, when I'm editing it, which is basically just putting the intro and the outro on it, and then getting the thumbnail and getting it all ready for YouTube, I'll listen back a wee bit just as I'm tinkering around. I very rarely ever listen back to the full podcast because I already know what I recorded. But when I was listening back last week, oh my word, did I sound rough or what? If you haven't listened to last week's, you should go and listen to it. Now, there's two reasons for this. One was it was a Stampede weekend. I went a wee bit overboard on the stampeding because it's Calgary Stampede. Well, it's done now. It finished yesterday. And the second reason was it was very, very early in the morning because I had to record it prior to heading out to Toronto. But, oh man, even when I listened to it, I was like, who's that? I don't even know. Whoops. So I'm feeling great this weekend. I didn't overindulge this weekend. I worked basically all weekend, so I'm happy to be here with you. And the one thing, this might be what guys got wrong last week as well. I keep forgetting to look in advance to see what's happening for the week and see what sort of shout outs I should do for the week. And of course, the biggest shout out for this last week would have been the glorious 12th, which was yesterday, the 12th of July. So I hope everybody had a wonderful time celebrating however you celebrate the 12th, and the weather here was absolutely incredible. So if there was anything going on in and around the Calgary area, certainly you would have had a wonderful time doing it. But yeah, I was a wee bit remiss there, and I didn't mean to be. So hopefully that wasn't too much of a big deal. But the team are in Spain. I didn't actually know they were going to Spain, to be honest, but the team are in Spain, and there's been a couple of friendlies thus far and no injuries, which is the main thing. No injuries that I've heard of anyway, which was one of the main things. Because I was saying to Leo last night that 2 weeks on Friday the season starts again, and then we're just right back in to the thick of it because the European qualifiers are coming very, very quickly after the season starts as well. So we've got 2 more weekends of no meaningful football, meaningful for us in terms of Rangers, but we've obviously got the World Cup 3rd and 4th place game and the World Cup final coming up this coming weekend. That's getting exciting, isn't it? It's always kind of the same teams that end up, roughly always the same teams that end up at this stage of the competition. But I have to say, if I was to bet right now based on what I've seen thus far, I would say France are the team that have the most to lose. They've been exceptional in every game that I've watched them in. Spain have been very, quietly effective, is what you would say. I find Spain very boring to watch. I have to say, it was like watching Guardiola's, Barcelona or even Man City. At times, not a lot happens, and then you get a burst of brilliance. And from a highlight reel perspective, that's kind of fun, but it's kind of boring to watch, to be honest. And then of course you have, who else do you have? You have Argentina. They've been kind of up and down. They've got through with the skin of their teeth a couple of times, so that's going to be interesting. And then England, they seem to be going from strength to strength. I loved the wee spat, which none of the two of them would have known about so much in the interviews after the games. I don't know what it was like back home in the UK to see what sort of press and coverage it got, but the person who did the interviews that I seen anyway, must have just thought he had won a watch, because he asks Tuchel, what do you think? Tuchel's obviously in a bad mood. He's like, we didn't play that well. And I understand that, because they didn't, and I seen the highlights of the first half. I didn't see the full first half live, and there was a lot of giveaways, a lot of kind of nerviness, and it was just kind of uncharacteristically less quality than you would see from England. And then the second half, I thought they were okay, and they kind of justified the win overall. And then you get Bellingham coming out, who's just gone from strength to strength to strength. And they say, oh, your manager didn't think you guys played that well. And he's like, whatever. So you get 2 winners there who want what's best for the team, who are doing what's best for the team. And I wonder what type of style of conversation, if any, took place after that conversation. But getting to the business end, they're going to be very, very exciting. I was hoping to carve out some time to be able to go maybe to a pub or something and watch the game on Wednesday, the semi-final. But I'm just working and I can't. So I can get the game on in the background and I'll just have to watch that. Hopefully they get to the final and then I'll get a chance to go and have a bit of a party. And then my voice for next week's NARSA weekly update might be a wee bit different if I go down there, or it's maybe Saturday. Who knows what that looks like. But anyway, back to Rangers. Just by fluke, this morning I got a chance to see I was on YouTube watching another thing to do with podcasting, believe it or not. And then the next thing came up was the 1-1 draw with the Kaiser Chiefs that happened. Was that yesterday or maybe Saturday, something like that? And just a training game, but they did a good job of the highlights and lost a goal from a bit of a breakaway, which we didn't really defend that well. And then the goal we got, Finlay Curtis on the score sheet. That's a good thing for us. Total fluke. I think he was just trying to cross it over and it went into the net. But hey, we'll take it from there. Didn't really get a chance to see too much of any of the new guys on the highlights. It was only like 5 minutes long and I had it on 1.5 speed. But good to see. Good to see. And do you know what? The new home shirt is absolutely growing on me. That looks really, really nice, I have to say. So I'm looking forward to a good pal of mine's mum is coming over in August, I believe, so a couple of weeks, and she has the order already to get the new Rangers shirt over to me as well. So yeah, we'll see what that looks like. In terms of shout outs for this week, the first one I wanted to do, and thank you to Brian Campbell for alerting me to this, because I'm never really on social media that much, and he sent an Instagram clip that was posted by Conor Goldson, and he has to go through some more open heart surgery. And I think it's actually maybe even today, or maybe he's even already gone through it. But you remember when we signed Conor Goldson, I think he'd 2 or 3 years out prior to us signing him with a heart complaint, and we were all kind of like, oh, here we go, we're signing another injured player. I mean, someone with dodgy knees or ankles or hips or something like that is a wee bit different than a heart complaint, and I'm sure Rangers did a great job, because look at the service that Conor Goldson gave us when he was with us. And it was if you haven't seen it yet, you should go search Conor Goldson on, I imagine it's on most of the platforms. I seen it on Instagram, and he just talks about the journey. He talks about the impact his family. He talks about, when it happened first time 9 years ago and what's happened since then. He has a wife, he has a family, he has a different level or set of priorities in life. And it shows you a whole bunch of clips and footage and highlights of his playing days. And the doctors, from what I could gather from what he said, they said, you can still make a full recovery from this and you can still play again. So very interesting. That's certainly a great North Star to be able to say something to strive for and such. But I think probably being healthy for his wife and family and friends would probably trump that a wee bit. But certainly, from everyone at NARSA, we absolutely wish him nothing but the best in terms of a successful surgery, of course, and then ongoing recovery. He was a brilliant servant for us. I had my frustrations with him when he was there, especially from a set piece perspective. He just kept coming up and blazing it over the bar, but a brilliant servant for us, a brilliant ambassador for us too, and so consistent for us over the years. And as I say, nothing but the best to him and his surgeon and his family and everyone that's going to be responsible for helping him recover on that. We did have another new addition. This one, there wasn't a lot of rumour that I seen on this one, but Cammy Devlin, of course, I'm talking about, had signed for us, and I think that was announced on Saturday. And the thing I loved about it was the interviews that he did. And this guy, you can tell, this guy is buzzing, absolutely buzzing to be a Rangers player. He knows what it means to be a Rangers player. He's going to be able to bring in, this is what we used to do when we played against you guys, either away from home or at Ibrox or things like that, and that's not nothing in terms of tactics and tactical awareness and ability to contribute to how the game plan or the game setup should go as well. But I just loved his energy. I loved his enthusiasm. I love the fact that I was speaking to my brother-in-law, Andy, on Saturday night, and we were saying, it seems like such a long time that we would go and pilfer, if you want to use that word. We would go and just basically take the best domestic talent, whether it be Scottish talent or otherwise. Of course, this Cammy's Australian, and it's long overdue, I think, from our perspective. And the contract situation, I mean, Hearts must be reeling right now one of their best. I mean, they had three really good players. They had Braga, they had Devlin, and they had Shankland. And we got Shankland and Devlin for free. And I'm not sure what Braga's situation is. Maybe, I mean, the transfer window's still open. But yeah, I don't know. But anyway, welcome to him. Of course, he joins Lauren Shankland, Ross McCrory, Ben Godfrey, Dan Neal, and Ivor Pandur. And he is also joined with a returning Allan McGregor, who's come back to be our goalkeeping coach one more time. And it's just starting to get like a Rangers feel about it now, isn't it? I mean, we all know how fantastic a servant Allan McGregor was. Did a good job when he was in with Barry and Neil McCann and Billy Dodds last year when they had their stint, last season, I should say. And I guess it's last year too. And it's great to have him back. You know, obviously he's got a lot to offer and a lot to add, and you know, having that staunchness, having that Rangers, you know, bleeding blue mentality in the backroom staff isn't going to do us any harm whatsoever. None, I don't think. So welcome back and welcome aboard to both Allan and Cammy there. I did see a wee notification on Facebook this morning. I thought I'd do a quick shout out for the birthday of Sarnia Rangers Supporters Club's Scott Kennedy, who's celebrating his birthday today. My apologies, Scott. I don't know if it's a milestone birthday or not, but Scott is a great guy. Scott is a great guy, and my understanding is that there might be some resurrection of Rangers presence in the Sarnia area over the last wee while. That reminds me, actually, I do need to follow up with Conor Gunn, our former social media guru, who had intimated that there might be a solution for Sarnia too. So it's great to see that the dream is still alive down there, and many happy returns from me and everyone at NARSA. Scott, another quick shout out for the Rangers Ladies Lunch. August the 24th, £75 a ticket. You get a whole bunch of stuff from Harrod's Beauty, and it's going to be a great day. I don't see that it is sold out just yet, so you'll have an opportunity to go there if you are interested in that. What's that? Just about 5 weeks away. So anyone who's getting a wee bit fed up with this, you only have to hear this about another 5 or 6 times. It's nice to advertise the stuff that's going on in and around the club, and I am very, very happy to do so. And finishing off on an absolute high, I'd like to pass out huge congratulations to my niece, my lovely niece, who is now known as Michelle Bell. Michelle, my Bell. I knew I was going to get a Beatles song in here at some point on this podcast. And here you go, 287 episodes in, and I finally get it. But yeah, Michelle Bell, formerly known as Michelle McLister, and my niece, she got married at Coates Memorial in Paisley on Saturday. Got a chance to see all of the photos or a bunch of videos and such. And you know, all the boys, including like the kids up to the adults and the father of the bride and such, and the groom, had this lovely kind of like fawn colour, beige colour. Beige makes it sound boring, but it wasn't. Like, this beautiful tartan colour, and they were just so dapper. And seeing kids in kilts is very fun to see as well. And it was just, it looked like an absolutely brilliant time. The photographs were fantastic, and I'd just like to thank Michelle for the invite to the wedding. Sorry I couldn't make it. That's kind of what happens when you get an invite 3 weeks to go and you're 4,000 miles away. But it's the thought that counts, isn't it, really? So I hope you had an absolutely brilliant time. The bride looked stunning, and the whole event looked like it was a rip-roaring success. So congratulations to Marty, Linda, and the entire family, and of course to Michelle and her lovely husband. So yeah, that's a great thing. In terms of other NARSA business, just another reminder that if you're changing your details from a club perspective, this is kind of for most clubs an AGM season sort of thing. So if you're changing your executive or your committee or your location or your communication preferences, please do let us know so that we can update that on the website. We can update that on our communication distribution lists so that we can give you the information that you need when you need it. It's very, very, very important for us, and doing it after the fact really, really upsets our communications director, Colin Bowen. So don't upset him. He's easily upset, and when this happens, he's justifiably upset as well. So if we can get that information in as quickly as you can, that would be great. I'm delighted to announce that we did get the Director's Box winner get in contact with us to say, hey, but we're not on social media, someone told me we have to get in touch. Is everything okay? And we got back saying, absolutely, everything is fine. We're not pulling this rug from under your feet or anything like that. It's we just were a wee bit remiss. Sometimes in the party zone, you kind of forget things that you didn't realise you'd forgotten at the time. So we now have all of the prizes allocated to the correct people, which is absolutely brilliant news. So thank you to social media. Thank you to whomever it was made that happen for us to get that organised. That's very, very much appreciated. We did have an NARSA executive meeting last week, which, hey, we finished on time. Actually, you know what? Technically, we finished 30 minutes early because it was in for a 90-minute meeting, because we don't seem to be able to do 1 hour long meetings until last week. And we had a 1 hour meeting basically because Allan had to go at the end of, at what would that be like? It was 8:30 my time, because I was in Eastern time at that time, or 9:30, whatever time it was. And he had to go because he had to go and do a work thing. He had to go and do an interview straight after that. So we need to organise the NARSA meetings exactly with those parameters in place for the future, so that we have an appropriate time allocation and a timer on things to get things done and dusted. But we'd naturally finished what we were talking about. What we were talking about primarily was Rangers TV and setting things up. You will have subsequently received something from Dan Bransfield. Please do get back to him about that well in advance, so that we can get the vouchers organised for the beginning of the season and know and understand what the costing structure looks like for the entire season. Everything's very well laid out on Dan's email to explain exactly what we're doing, why we're doing it. So that's good. And we talked a wee bit about the convention. We talked primarily about lessons learned from Nashville, which we are want to do after each of the events, just in terms of what went well, what could have been improved, what would we keep doing, what would we stop doing for next time. And we battered around some ideas about potential venues or potential locations for 2027. Nothing has been decided yet, and I'm actually at the same spot as you are, whether you're watching or listening. I'm on the exec where I'm kind of like, where's it going to be? Because this is kind of material, because obviously I plan my holidays around it, and my niece, another niece of mine, is getting married next year, and if the dates coincide, then it would be great to be able to do both. She's getting married back home, but if the dates don't, it's just logistics. It's life logistics, and we need to get moving on this. I mean, it's incredible to think that's a month since the convention in Nashville 2026, or Destination NARSA, and that means we've got basically less than 11 months left if we're going to host it in the same time frame. If we're not going to host it in the same time frame, then we've got a wee bit longer. But yeah, it's at that spot now where I'm kind of getting a wee bit anxious to go, we should probably make a decision and start to build into this, because I know all too well the time absolutely goes by just like that. So I look forward to sharing. What you'll find is, at some point, if I say, or you see the thumbnail on YouTube, or you see, Gary is hosting Brian Campbell and or Allan McGregor, maybe we'll get both of the guys on at the same time if we can. That's when the announcement's going to happen. I would love it to be next week. I can't see it being next week, to be honest. You never know. But maybe in July, ideally, or early August. But if we could get that kind of done and dusted prior to the season, that would be kind of handy, wouldn't it? So we'll see what that looks like. In terms of communications for this week, still no Jers guide, so I can probably stop saying that until the season starts proper there. But one thing that was really interesting was, and I don't know that I recall talking about this last year, but there was a second annual event called Unity and Strength. And I'll just read out what it said on the Rangers website here. Rangers were proud to join clubs and charities from across the UK last weekend for the second annual Unity and Strength event, reaffirming a shared commitment to challenge tragedy-related abuse in football through education, dialogue and community engagement. So this was Rangers and Liverpool, and I believe Burnley were there. I think Man United were there as well. And it's to try and stop people mocking the disasters that have happened to their particular clubs. And there's other things that you can shout at. You can shout at players for being rubbish or fat or whatever it is you think. That's kind of not okay, but that's kind of part of almost the sporting invisible agreement. But when you start to mock genuine tragedy, that is disgusting and it's not cool. And instead of sanctioning and condemning and punishing, I love the approach of getting people here, or there, I should say, that were affected or impacted by said tragedies, and giving them an opportunity to say, this is the impact in my life, this is how it changed, and probably not for the better, certainly not in the beginning part anyway. And using those impact statements, using those real world experiences, and using that as an educational vehicle to say to folks, shout something else. Do not shout that. Like that's a societal problem, isn't it? You know, someone thinks it's okay to shout something about the Hillsborough disaster or the Ibrox disaster. I mean, you've seen what those scumbags did at Ibrox there towards the end of last season there, you know, with the 66 references and things like that. They're just Neanderthals. So I don't think there's any educating them because they're beyond that, but hopefully other fans and fan groups around the UK would be in a wee bit of a better position to be educated from that as well. So well done to Rangers. As I say, I try and keep an eye out for these things, and I don't recall mentioning that last year, but maybe I did. I just don't recall. But such a tremendous event. I've got a tattoo on my, what would that be, my right leg? I think it is. A quick peek. Yep, my right leg, and it's got a memorial to both the Ibrox disasters and the Hillsborough disaster, and I have the Hillsborough disaster. It's actually the wrong number now because I had 96 on it for the longest time there, and it was confirmed a couple of years back that it was actually 97. So I should, when I get to a position of going back to get my tattoo touch-ups and some new work done, I will get that one corrected, but that stuff is close to my heart. So well done to Rangers and all the clubs for being involved in that. The club also announced that the season tickets are now fully sold out. They accommodated some My Jails members. They accommodated like 100 odd moves. That must be very difficult to do that. And it's now fully sold out as well. So hopefully the folks that are there that are going to get some, we're going to get some things to celebrate this season. As I said last week, if we don't do it under Derek, I'm not 100% sure where we go from here. So we need to give him every single bit of backing that we possibly can to make sure that he and the squad are a success for this season. That's the plan and that's the hope. Anyway, just another quick reminder to follow us on Instagram, TikTok. We are at NARSA Comms on both platforms. Like and subscribe here. And this is another short one for you this week. I can't wait to get back to Rangers action proper. But it's nice to have a wee shorter one, nice to not have it be so burdensome to gather all the information, put it all together and make sure that I have all my facts and figures right and such like that. It's nice to be on holiday, isn't it? And speaking of that, actually in a couple of weeks' time, what would that be, 3 weeks' time? 3 weeks' time, I will be in Berlin in Germany. Leo and I are going for a holiday with a bit of a twist. We're going to go do some cultural stuff and enjoy the sights and sounds of Berlin. So you will see the NARSA weekly update come to you from Berlin in a 3 weeks' time. So that doesn't mean you come and rob my house. I'm going to get people looking after it, and I've already got an alarm system as well. So don't just get that idea right out of your head right now. But the traveling podcast, I think, is what it is. Anyway, my friends, thank you very, very much, as always, for taking the time to tune into this episode. Please do share it with someone that you think might enjoy it. Thank you, as always, to our partners, SEKO, and here's hoping that we get maybe one or two other signings coming in to give us a wee bit more and more excitement as the weeks pass on here. Good luck to all 4 teams in the World Cup, and we will see what happens between now and Sunday's final. Until next week, please do take care of yourself and all the very best, okay? Follow.